Hello again everyone and welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host Derailious and today we're going to be going over the official implementation of stonking by the admins on the Alpha Network, as well as a bunch of other changes related to the Primordial broodfather, among other things. Before we begin though, I just want to say, please make sure to like and subscribe down below as it really helps out the channel a lot, and use code RAIL on the Hypixel store for 5% off your order. Without any further ado though, let's get started. So the admins start off by saying hello. Today on the Alpha Network, we've got an official implementation of stonking along with some Primordial broodfather follow-up changes from 0.23.2. First is stonking but real. Stonking is a term that is used to describe the act of breaking blocks as a shortcut to access areas or locations in dungeons. Stonking heavily reduces the amount of time required to complete rooms in the catacombs. While there is a learning curve for secret paths in rooms, gathering secrets becomes much easier and faster once you've memorized them all. As such, it's an expectation for most players at higher levels to do some degree of stonking. So there's a new item. The Dungeonbreaker is an item that allows you to temporarily break blocks within a dungeon. Blocks will automatically respawn after 10 seconds. You can have up to 30 blocks broken at once, and can break more once the blocks you've previously broken have respawned. This is indicated by the charges on the item. Dungeonbreakers can be purchased for 500 Wither Essence once the player has reached Catacombs Floor 3. The item is intended to be usable in 1.8.9 and the latest versions of the game. With the addition of this item, we have patched the original method for stonking. You will no longer be able to break any blocks with tools not named Dungeonbreaker. They've also wrote some design comments here. What is the purpose of the Dungeonbreaker? Our philosophy with the Dungeonbreaker is basically to let you do what you could have done before with previous stonking behavior. If there's parts that don't meet such expectations, please raise it in the comments below. The idea here is clear. They do not want this to be worse than stonking. If anything, they want this to be as good or better than the old version because you don't have to rely on any glitches in order to stonk. I appreciate this philosophy a lot because otherwise a lot of people would not like this mechanic. The next comment is, why make stonking an official mechanic? There's quite a few players who are reluctant to stonk as they see it as cheating. Stonking was most definitely not an intended feature, and not exactly a healthy mechanic from a design perspective. It invalidates the whole level design when you can take unintended shortcuts. Stonking not being an official mechanic means you'd have to rely on someone, another player, YouTuber, etc. to teach you. It's cool if it's only the top 0.1% of speedrunners that need to be doing it, but not so much when all players are expected to do such an obscure mechanic. With all that being said, stonking is here to stay. For one, the window of patching stonking has long since passed. It would have been curbed much earlier if they deemed it an issue. Players have also grown accustomed to the speed at which they can complete dungeon runs with stonking. Patching it would make it seem much more tedious, which I totally agree with. This is great. Next up, we have quite a few Primordial broodfather changes, notably some boss changes here. They've enabled the Spider Slayer RNG meter, thank God this needed to happen. They've enabled the Ananke feather usage on the Spider Slayer RNG meter, which makes sense. They've added Spider Catalyst to the Tier 2 loot table. They've increased the weight of the Shriveled Wasp from 10 to 20. I think that should make it twice as common, unless I'm wrong, I will clarify that in the comments. Adjusted Tarantula Catalyst to now be able to drop upon reaching Spider Slayer 4, it was 5, and they've adjusted the Tarantula Broodfather and Primordial Broodfather to now deal damage in a consistent AoE every 1 second. They've adjusted a bunch of the swords to now have their damage bonuses be multiplicative, so this is the Spider Sword, Recluse Fang, Tarantula Fang, and Sting. They've adjusted the Shriveled Bracelet's ability to activate on all arthropod mobs instead of only in the Spider's Den, which I do like, that's really good. You can now do stuff in the Crimson Isle, for example, great change. They've adjusted the recipe of the mosquito bow, which makes sense. They brought back the digested mosquito. It was kind of funny that it was removed for a while, but whatever. They've adjusted the Recluse Fang down quite a bit. It has gotten completely and totally neutered, which I guess is fine. Tarantula Fang is a little bit worse as well, seemingly. There is now the Scorpion Foil within the actual recipes here. It's now been adjusted as well to require Tarantula Silk, Tarantula Catalyst, and a Tarantula Fang. It has the same overall dungeonization upgrade requirements, so that's good. There's a new passive. You deal plus 250% damage to spiders and gain 30 combat wisdom against spiders. It has also had its damage increased as well as its crit damage, but its strength and vitality were reduced. And also the Sting got a nice buff here. It should be stronger overall, even with some of these nerfs, because of the way that they made a lot of the damage here to be multiplicative. Things should still be better against spiders. Finally, we have some wood singularity changes now apply to axes instead of wooden swords, which is pretty cool. It grants plus 25 foraging fortune and can only be applied once. And you can talk to Master Tactician Fink in the park for refunds if you had any wood singularities applied to swords. Very, very nice. Interesting to see it go on axes now, but I think that makes a lot more sense. Alright, and here it is, the Dungeonbreaker Pickaxe, and as you can see, it is a base stone pickaxe, and it has the ability Dungeonbreaker. While in the catacombs, consume 1 charge to break a block. Blocks reappear after 10 seconds and restores 1 charge. You can pick it up at Ophelia right here for 500 Wither Essence. It doesn't seem like you'll ever need more than 1 though, unless you want more than 1 for some reason. Totally reasonable. Happy to see it in the game. For reference, this is going to be a very brief demonstration, so don't go too crazy on me in the comments, but it does in fact insta-break blocks, as you can see, and it does work on like iron bars and stuff like that. You can't use it on bedrock to get out of rooms, you can't use it in certain puzzle locations, obviously, that would be kind of nuts, but it is useful, and I really do like how it shows the charges as the pickaxe thing underneath it as well. You can use it, by the way, to get through super boom areas. That's like completely reasonable. It would be weird as hell if it didn't work that way. You're also able to use it on blocks that would normally like not work with a pickaxe. So, for example, wool would take a while normally. You're able to break on that, which is good. If you wanted to break, I don't know, trying to find another block, that would be weird. This wood, for example, you don't need an axe for that. So that's going to be relevant for people who are pre-deving and stuff like that, or who want to go down to the bottom area of M7. That'll be more useful for you. But you can't use it on doors, and you usually can't do it to like get through a room, for example, like one room to the next. As further clarification, apparently this does work in Trap, and I imagine it also still allows you to pre-dev. I would be kind of shocked if the admins took that away. Their goal with this is to make it as accessible, as open, as free as possible, and I think they did a pretty damn good job. Taking a look at some of the recipes, I just wanted to look at the mosquito bow real quick, just so you guys could see exactly what it looks like, and there it is. I think also if I go to the scorpion foil, I want to look at that as well. There it is. Overall, I think this update is very, very good. This is an elegant solution. I've got to say, I appreciate the admins being forthcoming about this, saying, listen, we could have patched this years ago. We're not going to do it. We don't want to. We want it to be built into the game. We want to make sure that this is something that everyone's able to do. Really going to be good. Players are going to learn this much more efficiently than ever before. I imagine a lot of times will be broken, a lot of speedrunning will happen, players will get better at this over time, and I myself will probably try to learn it quite a bit more than I ever would have prior. Lastly, if you want to reclaim any wood singularities, you can just come right over to the Master Tactician, and boom, there you go. You can just put your sword in, and I imagine you get your sword out as well as the wood singularity. Overall, if you want my opinion, this is a very good solution for stonking. It is very simple to get the Dungeonbreaker pickaxe. It only costs 500 Wither Essence. It doesn't have any crazy requirements behind it. Breaking blocks in dungeons is instant. It's very easy to see how many blocks you have remaining. Players are going to like this solution. It's going to remove a lot of the tedium from stonking. There were a lot of things that you had to do in stonking that were kind of annoying. For example, getting yourself on the edge of an ender chest kind of was obnoxious, I'm going to be honest. I am glad that I will never have to do that again. I'm glad that they've put a solution in the game that's just as easy to do, if not even easier, and frankly is just as powerful, if not even more powerful. I would love to hear what you guys think about this solution in the comments down below, as well as the other changes to the Primordial broodfather, which I think are overall a net positive. Once again, would love to hear what you guys think. Make sure to check out the Iron Man video, which is linked at the end. Worked quite a bit on it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.